You know, guys, there's an absolutely amazing line at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League where Darkseid says, "Ready the Armada, we'll do this the old ways." And that, of course, is referring to taking a long time to get to Earth in order to take us out so we can get the anti-life equation. That being said, it is kind of a metaphor for the Snyder Cut movement, where it did take a long time. Fans did ready the old ways. They used the old ways by using fan movements and billboard purchases and donating money to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which is awesome. And as a result of that, Jason Kilar, who was leading Warner Media, with Toby Emmerich and Jim Lee and some other executives from the company, were able to convince their bosses to pony up $70 million for the Snyder Cut. And they were hoping that it was going to be closure to everything. It turns out that while it is closure to Warner Brothers because they are moving on in other directions, fans are a little bit different on this one. Fans out there are absolutely wanting to see more of it, myself included, but I'm a realist in the situation. I've read what Zack Snyder has said. I've listened to what he has said. I have seen what Warner Brothers has said, and you can easily tell that it is done. The Snyderverse is over. Warner's is going another direction. They definitely do not want to continue down this path, regardless of how many fans get on Twitter and beat their chest and use a hashtag. I'm sorry, that is the cold, hard reality that some of you really need to wake up to. I have to be blunt. I have to be fair on this, and I have to speak my truth, because that is, of course, my opinion of it. Your opinion might vary, but I think we could always have a fun debate on it, so to speak. But that being said, one of the weird things that has come out of this whole situation has very much been this new announcement, where fans are, again, readying the old ways to try to make their own project, their own product. And this is not uncommon, to be fair. This is not a new thing, where fans have decided to go the fan film route in order to see the vision that they want come to light. And that's kind of what we're getting with this one right here, which, according to Screen Rant, says here, Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 storyboards to release as a motion comic. And it's cool, to be honest. I kind of dig the concept of it right off the bat. But what I find to be fascinating about it the most is, for one, who's involved, the controversy over who's involved, and then, interestingly enough, Warner Brothers and how they generally tend to handle these things, which to me is very interesting nonetheless. So this is a non-profit fan project, and that is something to very much keep into consideration here. The Dreamscapes of Justice League motion comic will adapt storyboards created by Zack Snyder, Jim Lee, and Jeff Johns to create a full motion comic film. But here's the thing you have to remember out of that. Those storyboards were shown at an event in Dallas back in March of this year, and those storyboards are cool, and they give us a good idea of what we would have gotten in Justice League 2 and 3. Those are also non-canon, out-of-date, original storyboards that even Zack himself has roughly decanonized. So it would have given you an idea, but it is ultimately not everything that we would have gotten if they would have gone forward with this. Things have changed. And so just with that out of the way, you've got this little 10-second teaser showcasing this not-for-profit fan project that's going to be raising money for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And look, that is actually a pretty cool thing, because AFSP does do a lot of good work, and it's going to be very fascinating to see what goes on with that. Now, this is from the YouTube description, and this is what Lightcast has posted. He says here, Zack Snyder's original Justice League 2 storyboards are brought to life in a full motion comic film with new original art by Mariano Di Venezia and VFX artist Luis Bedrigal. Sorry, I don't want to mispronounce that. A narration will be by Ray Porter as Darkseid, starring Henry Lennox, Scott Fowler, Karen Bison, Sam Benjamin, Presley Cocker, Richard Citrone, Christina Wren, and including Megan Lukes, Liz Wonder, Dave Avery, Geraldo Cortez, Anthony Field, Dawson Weidrich, and more. Now, that is the bottom part there. That is where there's controversy that is coming out of this. Now, the thing you have to remember here is that Megan, Liz, Dave, and everyone else, they are Snyder Cut fans on Twitter and on YouTube. They are part of one, I don't want to call them like a circle or a sphere or a group really, but they are one pretty interconnected thing. Like, these are people who are involved in Justice Con and a lot of podcasts that are very pro Snyder, and they are very much in that particular world. And a lot of them are very fine people. There's nothing wrong with any of them specifically. But there has been many accusations about this project that is simply interesting, in my opinion, which is this being done for AFSP or is this being done to maintain clout? And again, I like to ask the hard questions, and I'll get criticized for that, but I'm not saying this is what they're doing. They clearly want to have something come out, and they clearly want to have themselves, they want to showcase the support for continuing the Snyderverse. But to some people, it comes across as just more clout chasing, and that's been a massive, massive accusation within the fandom for a while. And when I look at, especially Lightcast himself, Matthew Miranda, my personal opinion is that he is a grifter of the epic sort. He has come on in and he has bullied people behind the scenes, and I know this from personal experience, to get information to further push a lot of the things that they have said. And that is something that I take issue with. And I don't know if many other people are going to be bringing that up, because I see a lot of people who I know privately are critical of Lightcast are kind of out here defending this product. So it's one of those things where you're like, okay, you can kind of start to see that, maybe either a big picture scenario, or perhaps it's it's just kind of a circling the wagons during this time sort of thing. And I feel that those are the best times to start really kind of asking the hard questions, because when you have a fandom that is as dedicated as the Snyder Cut fandom is, and you start watching it fall apart, you start watching it absolutely disintegrate, especially in the case of Ray Porter, who has agreed to do this, but now has said that he's not going to interact with fans in the same way because he's been attacked and criticized for lending his voice to this project. The funniest thing, though, about it, and that's just my kind of gag, I'm wondering if Sam Benjamin will finally get to play Green Lantern in this version of the motion comic, simply because, he was claiming it for the most part for a very long time. Or I should say, to be fair, never adequately denying that he was Hal Jordan in the Snyder Cut, for years this was happening, and people like Matthew Miranda and Lightcast and Cultured Nerd were kind of backing that up. So you started to see a little bit of a click there, and it's kind of funny to see that. So hey, if Sam Benjamin gets to play Green Lantern in this case, I'm going to be, good for him. All right, live that dream, King. Live that dream. But other people who are going to be involved in this, who actually work in the industry, I am kind of curious on that front. And it's not to say that, generally speaking, that they would never do something like this. Now, when it comes to Ray Porter, he, in my opinion, is probably the biggest on the whole thing. And I say that because this is a non-for-profit fan film, but this could mean that if there is going to be a restoring of the Snyderverse, that he may not be brought back as Darkseid, because he has been acting as Darkseid in an unofficial capacity, and they may not like that. Now, at this point, Warner Brothers is very, very, very pissy when it comes to Snyder, when it comes to the Snyderverse. We know that they've shut down conversations with Zack and Deborah. They've ghosted them in regards to the Snyder Cut numbers. These are things that we know. Zack has openly said multiple times, they just don't talk to him. They haven't talked to him since March. He doesn't know what's going on. These are the things that he says. And I would really love it if Snyder Cut fans would stop acting like Jamie Spears and treating Zack like he's, Britney Spears, and allow him to move on with his life and end this weird ass conservatorship that they seem to have in regards to their entitlement over what Zack does with this. And I'm sorry, that's my opinion on it. Take it or leave it. It is what it is. And I've been very vocal about why I feel the way that I do on that front. But it kind of also goes to show you, by having Ray be involved in this project, that he is out as Darkseid. He is not coming back as Darkseid. And also, where is Ray Fisher? Why isn't Ray Fisher back as Cyborg? Because, all things considered, Cyborg is a main part of Justice League 2 and Justice League 3. We saw him in the Nightmare scene in the Snyder Cut. So where is Ray Fisher? Why isn't he coming on to help out with this project? Well, there might be some, I don't know. I don't know what his explanation for it might be, but it is a very interesting question about why he's not there. Maybe he doesn't want to get involved. Maybe he doesn't want to get involved in what could be a legal battle, because legal battles happen pretty often in regards to these fan films. Take, for example, Star Trek Axanar, Alec Peters. Alec Peters put out Star Trek, raised over $1 million for Star Trek Axanar, was sued by CBS and Paramount, ultimately settled that case, completely changed the way that fan films operate within the Star Trek universe now, to the point of where they almost just make it not even worth it to do. Warner Brothers, on the other hand, has they've been okay, on Harry Potter side of things for a while, but they also still have to come and act as kind of a legal entity, because here's the way IP law operates. If you do not defend your property, you could potentially lose your trademark over it. So this is why these studios come out and they put the kibosh on these fan projects. Now, this is where we don't know what's going to happen. Is Warner Brothers going to get pissy and shut this thing down? Survey says maybe. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But there's an article I found here over on fanfilmfactor.com from 2017 talking about Warner Brothers and allowing high quality Harry Potter fan films to be produced. Now, initially on the Kickstarter page, the production had wanted to raise money. They had raised over $30,000. And then Warner Brothers came in and sent a cease and desist to Kickstarter. And then from there, the producers were able to talk to Warner Brothers behind the scenes and get them to be able to put out this not-for-profit fan film, the deals of which are still, I don't know all the deals of this. But they said here, we had a private, confidential discussion with Warner Brothers, who contacted us during the period of the crowdfunding campaign. The only thing we can say is that they let us proceed with the film in a non-profit way, obviously. Now, what does that mean, nonprofit? Well, the idea of nonprofit is that you don't make any money off the movie, that you don't make anything off of the product directly. However, when it comes to this kind of thing on social media, there is the ancillary cottage industry that surrounds it, right? There are the people out there that will talk about the making of. They'll talk about the process of getting it done. They'll talk about any kind of hiccup they might get, especially if Warner Brothers comes in and copyrights them. That's going to be a lot of attraction. That's going to be a lot of live streams, the super chats. That's going to be a lot of ad revenue. And I don't fault them for it. Star Wars Theory did the same thing when Warner Chappell struck down, or no, Content ID claimed his Darth Vader fan film for music. And he went out there and he beat his chest and he made a big stink about that all the way back, it was in the winter of 2018 or something. So this is, again, and he made a lot of money off of the videos talking about the Vader fan film because those are ones he could monetize, and that's where the drama was, and that's where he made the money. So there are questions about I don't want to say ethics of the people involved, but there are questions about motivations and tactics and things like that, especially for me personally, when I look at who is directing this product. I don't trust Matthew Miranda. I don't trust him at all. I know how they operate. There's been accusations, about Taylor from Cultured Nerd going back to like 2014. And there's some interesting stuff you can find online about that. And so when I look at that group and those associations and everything else, it's one of those things where I personally take a step back and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this just yet. And I'm just telling you guys what I know and how I feel about it because I'm giving you my opinion. We'll have to wait and see how the whole thing plays out. It's going to be very weird at the end of the day. I wish them luck. I don't know if Warner's is going to come in and shut it down, or if they're going to reach out to them now that it's gotten written about on comicbook.com and Screen Rant and other outlets have covered it. Who knows exactly what is going to happen? We don't know any of that yet. But we might find out that they're okay with it and that they allow it to go forward because of AFSP. Or they might shut it down simply because they want to close this chapter and move on. It's kind of like Schrodinger's Snyder Cut at this point. We simply don't know. But those are just my thoughts on it. You guys can think of it anything you want. You guys can think of what I have to say any way you want. Those of you who watch me know I generally approach these things from a very cynical but realistic approach. And I have my opinions. I look forward to what you guys are saying about this. Let me know down in the comment section. I will, if you guys want, like the video. If not, that's fine too. You can usually find me live streaming at night on Hollywood After Dark. Like we talked about last night, the DC Black Batman's booty situation. Well, it wasn't the booty. It was his wand. What can I say? And I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Thank you again, and peace out.